Positioning is the most important thing in Warzone 2, but movement is still very important, especially when it comes to winning gunfights in close quarters. So today, I'm going to be going over 7 movements that you need to be using. I'm going to go over some settings that will make it easier to use those, and then from there, we're going to jump into a game to really talk about that positioning versus movement dynamic. Now, starting off here in our settings, the kind of 3 things that I want to highlight in settings. First is going to be button layout or your keybinds. Understand that the 2 most important things here are going to be change stance, slide, and dive, and then our jump button. Those 2 buttons allow us to do the large majority of movements that we want to be using. So if you are playing claw or you have paddles or back buttons, right? You use a scuff or an aim or something like that, you can run default and just have your paddle set up that way, or you can actually run tactical. Tactical makes your right stick change stance, slide, and dive, allowing you to do things like Dolphin dive, which we will be talking about. Now, if you are on a normal PlayStation or an Xbox controller, you can run bumper, jumper, tactical, flipped. This gets a little bit, it's a little bit tough to use. It takes some getting used to, but it makes your right stick change stance, slide, dive, and allows you to also jump with your left trigger, meaning you don't have to take your right thumb off the right stick to do all of the movements that we need to. Now, a few other settings here that I do want to talk about. I actually do flip mine as well, so I shoot with the bumpers, but that's more of an execution thing. I do run automatic tactical sprint here, just allows me to move a little bit quicker, gives me a little bit of increased movement speed, and allows me to reset that tac sprint a little bit easier. I also make sure, guys, that you have on for Warzone, apply all plates here. Reason being is we get an increased movement speed when we are plating, so we want to be able to take advantage of that, putting all of our plates in at one time. This way we can kind of just run around and not have to worry about hitting Y or triangle every single time to put a plate in. The other one that you absolutely should have on here is going to be your inverted slide and dive. Right here, guys, just understand that diving is much more valuable than sliding. So we are going to make it so that we hold it to slide and we tap it to dive, right? So now all I have to do is tap this button, and if I hold it like this, then I slide. Just makes your movement a little bit easier. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the 7 movements that I want to talk about. The first one is going to be strafing. This is the most basic movement that you can work on, and I actually have Porsche guy right here to help me out. When we talk about strafing, guys, there's 2 dynamics of this. Whether you are on controller or keyboard or mouse, it just makes you a harder target to hit. When you are strafing left and right, you are forcing your enemy to track you. Now, my controller players, here's why strafing is so important. If I aim down sight, I am not touching the right stick. You see how much that rotational aim assist pulls? You see how much that pulls? It is absolutely insane. And I'm going to ask Porsche here. Porsche, can you just run back and forth from about right here to right here? I'm going to show you what this actually does. So I'm hoping he should run around here. Yep. If he just runs back and forth. You see how, guys, there's no aim assist there? Watch what happens when I start to... You see this? Guys, I am not touching the right stick. This is aim assist right here. This is how broken strafing is while shooting. So start to work on strafing, guys. You will absolutely win more gunfights. Porsche, I appreciate it right there. Now, next up, guys, is jumping while shooting. So when we talk about jumping while shooting, this is just a little something that I do to mix in headshots, right? So you're aiming right there, you jump, you generally mix in a headshot, especially because you're pulling down on the right stick. When we talk about mixing in a headshot, that just gives us a faster TTK, allows us to win more gunfights. So a lot of times I'm strafing first, and if I feel like I just didn't quite get a good jump, or maybe it's like a little too close of a 50-50 situation, then I actually jump to try to mix in that headshot. Now let's talk about the next one, guys, drop shotting. This is one of the toughest ones in the sense of I don't really have a great explanation for when I use it. There's a lot of times that I'm in gunfights, especially if I'm in close quarters here, where I just drop shot by nature. Now, going back to our controller settings, guys, this is why having your right stick be your change stance, slide, dive, or using paddles is so important, because all I have to do is hit the right stick here. All I have to do is go down here, hold the right stick, and that allows me to, as I'm flying around this corner, I don't want to slide there, I can actually drop shot here while shooting him, right? So I can keep my right thumb on the right stick, allowing me to still aim as I am drop shotting. Now, next up, guys, we are going to go ahead and talk about jump peeking corners. I'm going to ask Porsche to come back to the middle here, see if he can regain his spot, which is jump peeking corners. Guys, when we, basically, because of how fast fast the TTK is and because people love to just sit here and hold angles like this, jump peeking corners is very important. So the most important thing to a jump peek is going to be this initial tack sprint, right? So if I am running here and I'm going to let my tack sprint run out for a second and I try to jump peek, wow, that lasted a lot longer than I expected it to. So if I'm running like this, guys, and I try to jump peek, that's good, right? It allows me to get a little bit further out than just trying to peek this corner. But where it really becomes beneficial is if I tack sprint, right? Because I can get way far out here. And also notice, guys, you also do get increased aim assist there, so that does pull with it. Now, one thing that I do want to talk about that I've been doing a lot more recently, which is, okay, you know, you're fighting, and you're kind of stuck and you don't have tack sprint, go ahead and quick melee. By meleeing, guys, you get your tack sprint back. That allows you to jump really far out here. So that's just one thing that you can do to challenge people. Again, it forces enemies to track you. A lot of what we're doing with our movement is making us a harder target to hit. Movement allows us to make us a harder target to hit, allowing us to take less damage, allowing us to win more gunfights. That's really the whole goal of movement. Now, next up, guys, we're going to go to snaking. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I am not the best at this. It's not something that I've practiced a ton. But basically, when you're in this situation, you can actually do what you're doing here is you are going prone while pulling back on the left stick, okay? So you're drop shotting while pulling back, and then you're immediately going to, you're not jumping, you're immediately going to attack sprint. Right? So it's something that I still have to work on. And what you're basically doing on our end is Porsche guy does not see me pop up right here. He does not see me pop up right there, right? So this little pop up, he does not see that, but I see him, so I can see exactly what he's doing. Now, realistically, what I want you to work on is just crouching behind cover, right? So using this to your advantage, right? So I can see him, and you can basically crouch prone, this way so that I can see him and I can keep challenging him, and he's in a really tough spot here because he's got to try to track me, but he can't see me. So like this little movement, and all I'm doing is crouching, standing, and using my cover to my advantage. Now, next up, guys, I want to talk about dolphin diving. Here's the reality of dolphin diving. I would love for dolphin diving to be better. I would love for them to increase the ability to shoot a touch quicker out of a dolphin dive so that when I dolphin dive around this corner, I can start shooting. But the reality of it is right now, it's just too slow. You're gonna lose gunfights because of this. If you dolphin dive a corner, you're going to lose gunfights. So where you should be using dolphin diving is to get behind cover. Boom, we're behind cover, we break this line of sight, and we can immediately go to attack sprint. Dolphin diving, I've already talked about how melee resets your attack sprint. Dolphin diving does as well. So, you know, I'm getting shot in the back here, right? So we got a dolphin dive behind cover. That allows me to easily reset attack sprint here. And by the way, I do throw a little jump in here, right? To jump to get to a crouch. This jump right here, by hitting the jump button, puts me in a crouch, at which point I can reset attack sprint. So, got somebody chasing me, I jump here, and then we keep moving, right? And we break the line of sight this way. Now we're going to go ahead and dolphin dive behind cover, and all of a sudden, he's not able to get me. Now, from here, what do we do in Warzone? And we'll talk about this in-game. Now we start plating. Now we start taking advantage of the increased speed, increased movement speed. Then all of a sudden, we're plated. We jump peek this. We re-engage. Guys chasing, and we get a kill right there. Now, that's really kind of the main ones. The last one that I was going to talk about was taking advantage of sprinting while plating. We'll go ahead and take a look at that in game here. So in the beginning of today's video, I talked about how we're going to really take a look at the balance between movement and positioning in Warzone 2, but I'm going to be honest with you here. I got a really good extended clip here where I'm fighting two different teams at double apartments. I pick up like 9 or 10 kills, constantly finessing. So we're going to take a look at straight movement here. What movements am I using? How do they allow me to take less damage and win more gunfights? And how am I constantly finessing these two teams? Maybe later on, I do a full video of how we balance movement and positioning on Ashika. Now, before we fly over here, you know, one quick thing that I do want to mention, just keep movement simple. Don't focus on the flashiness that we see on like Twitter and YouTube and TikTok and stuff where people are like, whying? Just focus on basic movement and keeping it simple. That will allow you to win more gunfights, take less damage, and by taking less damage, you speed up your pace of play. You know, you take less damage, now you only have to throw 1 plate in instead of 3 plates. That allows allows you to get back into the action quicker. Now, starting off right here, guys, we're just going to see a pretty basic jump peek. The jump peek allows me to get my crosshairs out. My teammate went down. I heard the audio above, so I anticipate here. We're centering our crosshairs with the jump peek. Now, this guy's low health, you know, but even if that guy is full plates, the jump peek allows me to get my crosshairs out, allows me to get that first shot off. At that point, it's on me to win that gunfight. Now, we get the thirst, 2 enemies across here, so we are going to play a little bit of positioning. You're going to see me slow down here. I'm going to end up just trying to peek this head glitch here. I'm going to jump up, see what's across. We see that enemy getting shot at, and we see one flying in. So now I know that I'm in the mix with 2 different teams here. When we talk about movement, guys, and really getting into a sort of advanced movement and your movement getting better, the biggest thing is it's simple movements in advanced combinations. And we're going to see that here in this next kill right here, where when you break it down kind of one little movement at a time, it's really nothing fancy, but you put it together and it looks really smooth and looks really cool. And it is kind of an advanced play. So right here, biggest thing to note is, yes, there's a counter UAV up, but just keep in mind, he just killed my teammate, so he knows that I am pushing across. Now, right here, all this is, right, we're kind of in a 50-50 situation right here. This is a crouch behind cover that allows me to reset my tack sprint right there, which allows me to jump peek this corner, get very far out, which means I end up behind him, and we're able to get that kill right there. And I take a little over, what, like 1 1/4. I have tempered here, so that's probably 2 plates of damage right there. So here's what it looks like full speed. Again, all I'm doing is crouching behind cover, I stand up, I reset tack sprint, I jump peek, nothing too crazy right there. Now, in this moment, one thing to highlight here is I do have loadout here, so I've got double time. I think it's very valuable, especially when we're talking about finessing teams. I do have restock, which is going to help, and I do have high alert. Trust your high alert in close quarters. It's one of the best things that we can use because, look, even in close quarters, it allows us to understand when we're getting looked at and when we have to finesse. Now, once again, guys, right here, I'm going to preemptively tell you there's going to be a guy peeking this corner right here. Let's go ahead and see where he peeks. Right there. Okay. Simple movement, advanced combination. All you are going to see here is a jump and a strafe to my right. That's it. Right? So all I did there to take a little bit less damage, once again taking about 2 plates, was a jump and a strafe to the right. That is a 2 simple movements put into advanced combinations. Now, you're going to see this a lot throughout this clip. Sprinting while plating, guys. Take advantage of this. Take advantage of the increased movement speed and constantly keep moving. Now, we're going to quick reload. I am still worried about this guy that's above me. I don't know exactly where he went here, so we do have to be a little bit careful. Once again, using the melee to reset the tack sprint. I think it's a great way to do it. Trying to see what I can find here. There's one right there. I hear one in the stairwell, and I just don't like that situation. Then there's this guy across, so we're going to smoke. No live pings and smokes anymore, and no aim assist. Guys, use that to your advantage to be able to get out of these situations. Even in close quarters, smokes are very valuable. 3 kills thus far. We did start at 0 here, so kind of whenever we finish fighting here, it's going to be 9 or 10. Trying to see what I can find, and you're going to see me change my pace constantly throughout this situation. Trying to see what's across. I'm not really seeing anything. There's a guy to my left side right there. I get high alerted to my right, so we're going to trust it, and we're right back inside. Now, I did hear somebody shoot at me, right, which is why I closed the door behind me. So I'm going to close the door behind me here, and we immediately start sprinting while plating. Now, as soon as we're full plated, this is a re-engage, right? I'm re-engaging here, expecting this guy to chase me. Obviously, there's a Molotov up top, so I have to be careful here. You know, we're playing patient. This is this change of pace dynamic that we have to get used to in Warzone 2, where even in this moment, I am playing a little bit of positioning, trying to see if I can get somebody to push down these stairs, not expect me to be down here, get that down in thirst, at which point I get information. Now, I hear a bunch of people fighting up here. That guy's low health again, so we're just going to keep clearing. I'm expecting another enemy to be around here somewhere, just not 100% sure where. We see that there's one across above me. Trying to see what I can find, right? 4 kills. There, that's my teammate. Now we immediately push over here. High alerted to the left. Okay, let's go engage the left guy here. I turn the corner. Sure enough, he's shooting. I saw his laser right there. Little thing in close quarters that you got to be aware of. Those little lasers will allow you to understand where people are and if they're close and if they're holding a corner. Now, I throw the smoke, guys. The smoke allows me to finesse right here, right? Because all of a sudden, he's chasing me. I'm able to get that knock. What do you notice? I take a plate of damage right there. Plate and a half, right? Because, again, tempered. So now we immediately start plating here. We hear one down below, and we're going to slow this down, guys. This is one of my favorite moves right here. This is a little bit of everything. Once again, simple movement, advanced combination, right? There's the jump peak so that crosshairs are out. And then what do I do from here? All I do from here is strafe back the direction that I came from, right? There and a jump, right? So this is a jump peak to corner to get crosshairs out, strafe back where I came from, and a last second jump to be able to kind of take a little bit less damage. Again, nothing special. It's a jump, it's a strafe, and it's another jump. Simple movements, advanced combinations. We've got 6 kills thus far. Let's go ahead and keep rocking and rolling here in close quarters. I went ahead. I knew I wanted to use the armor box, trying to keep as much armor as possible. Seems like we're constantly getting mortared at this point. And a little bit of a mistake here, guys. I would have loved to have been able to get that kill. Just didn't reload my ISO hemlock since we have been in close quarters for so long. Once again, mortar strike going, guys. A little bit stuck here. We're going to go ahead and work our way across. I actually didn't even see that. Oh, I heard the door. I did hear the door. Notice this guy right here. Little bit of strafing, guys. Just a little bit allows me to, that horizontal, right? Allows me to stick that aim. Doesn't have to be much there. And that, I mean, guys, that's zero recoil with the Vaznev. I was hitting shots really well with this gun last night. I feel really comfortable with it. Vaznev, Lockman sub, Vel, Kastov 74U, Chimera, all really good options when it comes to secondaries in close quarters, and understand your balance with those, right? So when we talk about movement, the Lockman sub and the Vaznev are a little bit better. The Vel is okay movement-wise. The Kastov 74U, the Chimera are pretty slow. It's going to be a little bit tougher to finesse. Look at the centering. Look at the centering. Watch the strafing right here, right? So I'm even strafing behind cover to be able to take a little bit less damage. 7 kills thus far. Let's go ahead and keep working. We are going to work our way across right here to the other side, and then we are going to engage these guys. We are going to engage these guys. We just got to figure out how. I think that's one of the biggest things, guys, is figure out how do we engage them. A lot of you guys just disengage this, and you're like, I don't know how to push, or you just follow your teammates, and you're constantly getting smoked. Now, look at all this loot over here. We obviously see that guy right there, once again, strafing, and then we go ahead, and we're going to grab these drill charges. Drill charges are a really good option, especially for this reason right here when dealing with campers. Drill charge number 1, drill charge number 2. Now we're going to go ahead and push down here. We get it down. We get high alerted. I am late here, guys, but that jump peak allows me to mix in, excuse me, this high damage area, right? So we slow this down. That allows me to mix in the headshot right there, which allows me to win that gunfight just barely, and that is a team wipe. So, guys, I hope you found today's video helpful. 7 movements to keep in mind. I have them listed: strafing, jumping while shooting, drop shotting, jump peeking corners, snaking, dolphin diving, sprinting while plating. Use those to your advantage. Simple movements, advanced combinations. As I always say, let's get better today, and I will see you tomorrow.